Welcome to The Hustle Huddle. It's a networking podcast about you.
Hey, getting better every time. I don't know if you guys have been following, but every episode we work on that. That was by far the best one.
We're so trivial. Like, we can't get timing down. Really, we should just be like, hey, count to one and then hit it.
Yeah, but it's not that easy because everybody's one is like one Mississippi.
Bro, people get people gets the dance numbers down. Why can't we do this?
You can't even talk.
I mean, I just went Germans when I went to the dancings.
Nice, man. Hey, so today we are super excited to have with us, as you guys see, the dynamic duo known as Bean and Chisme, right? Or better, we have Nina and Sam. How you ladies doing?
Hey.
We're doing real good.
So they didn't know how they were what voice was gonna come, right?
I know.
Yeah. She comes out. I think we're like all hood rats deep down inside, so we're happy to be here, and the hood rat comes out.
You're definitely not wrong. I think everybody's got a little bit of that. I heard. You what? Sorry.
No, say absolutely. And it's funny because people don't care about Nina and Sam. Like, they just want to see the hood rats.
Yeah, we care. We care.
Hey,
about
Nina. We go places and they're
Sam.
like, oh, what are your eyebrows?
Oh, they're like super disappointed in like my real personality. They're like, oh, so like this is you, and I'm like, yeah, like I don't.
What did you expect?
And they're like, oh, okay.
Oh, well, we don't want to be friends anymore then.
I know, right?
That's hilarious. So how do you guys approach that? Like, so when was the first time you all went out and somebody was like, no, we want to see that. We want to see the eyebrows. We want to see the characters that you all have built.
I think it was one of those, and you guys, y'all are your 13th episode. You start looking at your metrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
what are people responding to? And
Bingo.
so we were doing things as Nina and Sam, the, entrepreneurs, mamas, this and that. And people were like, oh, okay.
Right.
Who
Yeah.
cares? And then we put this, we come up with these hood rat characters that were born at Ingram Park Mall. And all of a sudden, like, we just noticed a difference in our metrics.
That were born at Ingram Park Mall.
They
I like the
were,
specificity there.
And she's the one that named them. Samantha named our characters. It was just so organic. But then after we started coming out with these hood rat characters, again, nobody cared anymore about it.
So how did the names come up? You say it's organic.
Yeah, so Little Chismosa and Little Frijolita were born.
Wait. Say that again. Come on. You just rolled over that. For our listeners out there that don't have the ear.
Okay, Little Chismosa, which means little, like, gossiper in Spanish. Chisme is gossip. And then Little Frijolita, little beaner.
Yeah,
is what I
little
named her.
Which make Bean and Chisme.
Which makes
Exactly.
Bean and
I like
Chisme.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
I see what you did there.
And it's kind of perfect too, because it really does speak to our personalities. It's pretty crazy. Like, she's for sure the one, like, what is going on? Like, I need to know. Like,
Super
so-and-so's baby daddy be cheating on her.
Exactly.
I found the meme and I found the thing, and
Yes.
So.
Meanwhile, I'm here just waiting for the phone call. Like, okay, what you
You
find?
just put me in. You're like, I'll get it through osmosis through her one way or another.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So I heard, I listened to a little bit of you guys. We were talking earlier on Frontera on NPR. Yeah. Hey, awesome episode, by the way.
Thank
right?
you.
Was that cool in itself, kind of having the opportunity to be on NPR?
Yeah, I mean, we're always, humbled that anybody else to interview
no
us.
joke.
But that one was kind of cool because I think it broke us through the market, and that, like, we're not just a bunch of young, dumb YouTuber kind of chicks. It was more like, no, we want to hear what you have to say. And not only do we want to hear what you have to say, but we are honoring, like, your Latin heritage and culture.
That's awesome.
Like,
Quite, especially on Frontera. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. And that's, in other words, like, we got the stamp of approval. For me, that was
for
like,
sure.
we accept what you're doing.
Yeah, and what was, I'm sorry, I was going to say
go
what was
ahead.
crazy about that TPR interview too is I think both of us were like, yeah, we'll do it, but not thinking that maybe like anyone was listening or no one cared. And so many of our followers came because of that interview. So kind of
They
cool.
still have an expansive reach.
Oh, absolutely.
And people still, especially in today's society, we were talking about it earlier, everything is so fragmented. You have such polarization. People still turn to public radio as kind of that true source for the real, to your point, kind of the stamp of approval, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. You were going to say something, I think.
I was going to say something along the lines of making sure that you are heard and that people are getting it out. Make sure that you're speaking directly. Get right up on these microphones.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just
Am I
because
not a
it's
minute?
it's just a matter when you start to turn to talk to your friend, your voice
Oh,
is
that's
projecting
true.
past.
So
So
I love the
Eyes
suspense. She's
only.
like, I was going to say something along the lines of
I
like,
didn't
oh,
know.
this is going to be good.
Yeah, no,
I like
it's-
this. All right,
hey,
where we going?
I promise you, the rest of the show is going to be phenomenal because everybody's going to hear them.
Hey, we
You're
do this
welcome.
Every show.
That's hilarious.
Right,
I'm an audio
mic
guy.
check.
You know, yeah.
No, heck yeah. So, hey, so going back to Fronteras, kind of the NPR, you all were talking about on that program, the organic development of kind of the duo, how people had kind of told you all, hey, if you're going to do anything, the chemistry between the two, you all should do it together.
Right.
And so people were already kind of noticing that chemistry prior to being in Chisme, correct?
Yes, specifically one friend who's in the business, in the marketing video world with me. And
Okay.
so we were kind of like just brainstorming what the show should be, and how we're going to be different. And so he went through my YouTube channel, through my company page, Heartfire Media, because I've been YouTubing for forever.
And I definitely want to talk about that later because that's
Yeah,
huge as well.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he went through, was kind of like just doing his research on what we were going to do to produce a new show. And he found the video with Nina and I talking about her family company, which was something totally separate we were working on. And he was like, who is that chick that you did the videos 2 years ago? And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Nina? I don't know. Is that Nina Duran? He goes, she is so funny. You guys are awesome together. If you're going to, invest your money and your time in something, do it with her.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
that's
that
kinda
leads me to my next question. So the skits, I saw the most recent one, the Kukui.
Oh, with Yolanda.
So obviously you guys have some sort of, bounds that you stay within, a storyline, something of that nature. But it seems like a lot of that is improv, kind of on the spot. Like you guys are just kind of acting, or is
It's
it all?
improv.
That's
Everything.
awesome. So
All
all of-
improv.
Nothing
Yeah.
scripted.
That's hilarious. You
Yeah.
guys, that last one is super funny. I love the
Which one?
taking
Yolanda
the
Salazar?
Yolanda sound.
Oh, that one was so hard. That was so hard to do also because
was that-
we
what
had
part about it?
Joanna Estrada Chonai, who is, if y'all don't know her, she is hilarious. Like,
Is that,
get her in
Yolanda?
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
she
hilarious,
played
yeah.
Yolanda, and
Uh-huh.
she just had us rolling the whole time. So it was really hard because we're used to each other. And I mean, even with just each other, it's difficult, but add in a third person, like humor that we're not used to. And yeah, we were dying.
That was the longest filming
Yeah.
session because the takes after takes were just like, okay, I can't.
Yeah.
Y'all played it well. You had me rolling. It was
Yeah.
like the parts about like I'm not going with you anywhere. Okay, I'll take the orange man and the rainbow Takashi.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
where I'm like, who are the
Yeah.
two people you're taking to hell? And
Yeah.
he's like, the orange man and Takashi
Mhm.
69, my favorite position.
Yeah. Donald Crumpet.
Oh, yeah, you guys.
Donald Crumpets. Yeah. And she was hilarious.
I don't think it was the same episode, but related to. I like the we only worship two things: Selena and the Virgin.
Oh, yeah. What is
two
it?
things in life we pray to.
We
Jesus
pray
and
to- there you
Jesus
go,
and
yeah.
Selena's. Yeah.
Which speaks to the subculture, right?
Yeah.
That
Oh,
you guys
absolutely.
are literally trying to incorporate. I don't think
Yeah.
you could get more specific to that culture, specifically here in San Antonio.
That's right.
Right. So
That's
tell
right.
me a little bit more. You guys were talking about the organic growth a bit before I cut you off and
Yeah.
talked about the Yolanda bit.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, as far as like it's funny because going back to the Bean and Cheese Man, like how we kind of came together, because a lot of people, I guess, forget that Sam and I are business owners, which is an interesting component because we're here because of a lot of like tears. And when I say that, like, I mean it honestly. Like, I was losing my parents' business, like, we were going through a lot. And, the video that she was talking about, we did this like YouTube, and it was just one of these things where like, look, let's go live. We had cut like $60,000 of debt in one company a month. All right.
Right.
So that was like huge for
Yeah.
us. Our
Wow.
overhead went from like $148,000 a month to $88,000 a month. And we're like, we need to tell everybody like how we were able to do this, like two girls, like with pen and paper, we were
Absolutely.
able to save a company at that time. And so this was the video that people saw. And then what was happening too is a lot of times people would come into our office, and with Sam and I, when you meet us, like who you get is who we are. So people would always tell us, dude, if y'all had cameras up
Or
in
a
this
fly on the
office.
That- that's what I heard,
was
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
fly on the wall, man.
exactly.
So,
I got a question. So, being business owners,
just steals the mic.
Hey,
For those y'all are
I-
watching it,
yeah.
no. It is
Okay.
Dario
but-
just jacked the mic.
Hey, we're all friends here. But being business owners, but at the same time having these characters as Bean and Chisme. How did that happen? And where did that inspiration come from? Because I know I loved In Living Color growing up
Yeah.
and just all the sketch comedy.
Yes.
So
definitely.
how did that happen organically, as Chris was saying, from two Latino women business owners from a professional standpoint? How did that turn to comedy?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Back to I own Heartfire Media. It's a media and marketing agency here in town, and my number one core competency is producing content. So whether it's blogging, newsletter creation, social media strategy, coming up with memes, coming up with YouTube channels, what are we going to talk about? That is what we do. And so for us, it was just a natural, like, well, let's just come up with our own stuff. And I'm very much a person that's like, I practice what I preach. So when I tell you I'm going to start a YouTube channel, it's because I already have it. When I tell you I have a newsletter,
Right.
do a newsletter, it's because I already have one. And so it was just one of those things that I was like, what can we do that's different? But the show was never a sketch comedy show. The show was two Latinas locas talking about topics that were not spoken of. So for instance, we talked about why do Mexicans line up for Selena bags, but y'all can't line up to vote?
Right.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Hey,
Right.
serious topic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
From a serious
it went from
issue.
this thing
Yeah.
to and
Exactly.
I think it's just our personalities. We're
Right.
just naturally silly girls, like just silly, funny. We didn't think we were that funny until. And I'm also one of those like, let's just try it. And Nina's also a great partner in that she's like,
Okay.
She's
Yeah.
not like, I'm not gonna do that. She's like, okay, let's do it.
Well, and that's the great trust, right?
Oh,
Going back to kind of
absolutely.
networking, who you know, and really being able to trust that person to ride with you, right?
So
For
she
a
was
ride or die.
like, okay.
It's like, let's do
And
this.
I
Yeah.
had an intern at the time. We had already started the show. We already started Being Cheese. Met two girls sitting in front of a camera, whatever. And I had an intern that was like, yo, this Instagram star out of LA. She's like major hood rat chola, but she's into that lifestyle. So this girl has the long nails, has the diamonds and the thing and the tattoos and
Everything.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
we love,
All
like,
the
I
time.
love her. Her name is Jenny69. If y'all ever want to
Shout out Jenny 69.
Yes.
Not
Oh my God.
Takashi 69.
Jenny.
69.
Forget that
Got
other
that. Hey,
snitch.
Follow
clear
that girl,
distinction.
man. She's got
No
millions of
snitches here.
followers.
You
Yeah.
cop
She
him.
rolls up in like her Escalade with a big ass blunt, and like she don't give
She
a
don't care.
I love
Can we
Jenny
go on?
69.
so yeah, like I followed her and she legit went and did image shot photos. So do y'all remember image shots from like the mall?
Ingram Park
Oh,
Mall.
yeah.
The store,
Glamour
yes.
Glamour shots, image shots.
But it was
and they
like
had
image
the
shots.
sign in the
Remember glamour
background.
shots.
Yeah.
And then she was like, yo, she did these image shots. Like, shut up, dude. That
We
shit's
gotta go
around
do
still.
it. Yeah.
And she goes, yeah. I go, hey, call Ingram Mall right now. If that thing is still open, we're going. And
Wait.
sure
When
enough,
is this? How long ago?
This
Not even 2
was
years ago,
Yeah, you can still get them. I got
Yeah.
them for a friend. I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Oh my God.
All right. Well,
Yeah, you can still go. It's still
We'll go
open.
together.
We're like
Yes.
just there.
Yeah, so I said, nope, we're going. And Nina, get your chola outfit on, the most
Whatever.
and do the eyebrows. And we didn't even, if you look at back then, we just did a little bit.
Just
Like,
the
we barely-
eyebrows.
Not as dramatic
weren't
as we
doing
do
that.
now. Nah.
No,
Yeah.
not at
Well,
all.
the
And it was
eyebrows.
also what was crazy too is it was
Didn't do
just
it.
for a
It
picture.
was
Like
just a photo.
there was no like let's become these characters, you
Right.
know. And so what's interesting is like going back to what you were saying, like what's kind of cool about these characters though is now we can do that. Like we can still talk about like I don't know, like shit that bothers us, but
Right.
as hood rats. And that's okay because there's relatability there. I think all of a sudden we become these characters that it's not, even though we're both educated, we're both this, we can go on and list
course,
our
of course.
resume. Who cares though?
Right.
Who gives a shit? Honestly, it's not about that. It's about these hood rats that they struggle. They're real.
They got
They-
baby daddy.
They suffer from anxiety. Like they need to take their Xanax. They need to smoke some, you know, like they have issues. They're these real people. And so it's different when you have someone that you can relate to, I guess, kind of calling
And
you
it has
out.
the comical edge.
Right,
So it kind of takes that
exactly,
edge off. To your point, I think you were
exactly.
saying earlier, Sam, it's a shame, but you're right. You come
Yeah.
out and you start as a, hey, we want to tell this great story about saving the
Right.
company, which, by the way, we didn't mention, but do you want to say the name of
Oh,
the
La
company?
Prensa?
Yeah, because that
yeah.
itself has a lot of history, and particularly in this community, right?
Right.
So you talk about this incredible story,
Mhm.
saving La Prensa, and
Mhm.
people are like, whatever, right?
Exactly.
But then you talk about some of those same issues in a consumable way,
Right.
in a way that brings comedy into the
Yep.
format, that makes fun of it, but is very relatable. And now all of a sudden, you guys have a following as Bean and Chisme.
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So PJ and I were talking earlier. We usually send a formal email confirmation and all of this and that. And we've been communicating over the past couple of days via Instagram, Facebook, that kind of
Text.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like PJ and I were like, well, I think we're good. We don't need to send the email. But it goes back to what you're talking about. There's a new way to consume
Yeah.
Absolutely.
information. It's not the traditional, hey, we're going to sit here. Whitwell and I started this podcast as an idea. I'm an insurance agent. He's
Mhm.
in mortgage.
Yep.
Hey, let's talk to people about how to
Insurance
save
and
money.
mortgage.
Right,
how to save money.
right, exactly.
Nobody wants to hear any of that shit, right?
Right.
Like they tune into an AM radio show at some point. It quickly evolved into something much greater,
Right.
and we're
Mhm.
having so much more fun doing this. You know what I mean? So I can only in a little bit relate to what you guys are experiencing right now.
I'm just glad I don't have to keep because I give that loan officer voice at the beginning. I'm just glad I don't have to keep that going because it's very tough to do a radio voice the entire time and act like you're just so interested in this. Hey guys,
Anybody
and
can
let
do
me
it, you
just,
can.
We gotta go from hood rat to Harvard all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, I
And
love
it's
that.
crazy.
H&H,
Hood rat
Hustler's
to
Hub.
Harvard.
Yeah.
Hood rat
Hashtag.
to
I like that.
Harvard.
Yeah.
Okay.
What hood are y'all from?
What sec?
Well, see what happened was.
I know, right?
And that's a good thing. So I want to talk about that. So I grew up Northwest Medical Center. And Nina
I
grew
grew up
up
Ingram.
Ingram.
Yeah, Holmes High
But
School
what
area.
y'all don't know, but like if you think about it, like Ingram is inner city now. Ingram is
Mhm.
considered West Side.
Oh yeah.
Where I grew up, I went to Marshall, but I went to middle school at Pat Neff. So I went
Right.
to middle
You had
school
to be like
inside the loop.
pregnant to go there.
Yeah, I went
It's a requirement.
for real. No, legit, like
No, seriously. Pat Neff
No,
was like the one middle school. It's like, damn, girls are already pregnant.
yeah, like
I don't even know what a Hummer is yet. Like, what's that? It's like crazy.
And we're not talking about the truck.
A bird?
So yeah, I went to middle school inside the loop, went to high school outside the loop, and of course, like my entire family lives on the south side and the west side.
Yeah.
You know, we just happen to be the Joneses that moved on up to the medical
Hey.
center. Like, calm down, you know. So, like,
Yeah.
you know, my culture and like who I am is still very much like rooted in the city, the
Right.
Mexican American Chicano style culture, you know. So this whole like, oh well, she didn't grow up, and I'm like, girl, I was just there yesterday. I go
Yeah,
to church on the
exactly.
south side, like.
Yeah.
Those are my people.
Well,
it
I
doesn't
think
mean
Mhm.
anything.
Anybody in San Antonio who's been here for a couple of generations, if you're Hispanic,
Mhm.
your family, your grandparents, somebody's from the South Side.
Of course.
Somebody's from the
Absolutely.
That's just where it started. So it's not even, my grandmother, my aunts, my mom, everybody. And same thing, we kind of, we moved up and it was like, hey, but we still go to the South Side for Christmas, for the weekends,
Yeah,
for
my tía
everything.
abuela's
We go
right
to grandma's
there.
house and cram in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, we could come over here, but whatever.
You're cramped in your grandma's house.
Right.
Right. With
So
the
what
smell
about
of
you,
burnt
Nina?
tamales. Well, no. So, like she said, I
So
mean,
not
I grew
Pat Neff,
up.
I guess.
No, I didn't. Well, see, and it's funny because I went to at that point it was called Forest Hills Elementary. Now it's like Eduardo Villarreal or something like that. I don't know if you know where it's at. You know what I'm talking about? You know.
PJ's always excited about everything.
So- But what was, I guess, and my mom told me, like, she pulled me out and put me in private school, like, in the 6th grade because I was asking too many, like, inappropriate questions.
What were inappropriate questions?
Who knows? I haven't had that
Put
conversation.
the
But
right
seriously,
questions?
probably,
Yeah.
most
Like,
likely.
what's a Hummer?
I like the book. Probably.
And so she sent me to this school called Lakeview Baptist on West Martin and like 24th Street that to this day only 24 people have ever heard of. And they're the 24 people that went there.
Which is
Shout out
West
Lakeview
Side.
Baptist. Yeah.
Hey-o.
But, you know, it's kind of crazy, though, because of La Prensa, though. I mean, with
What is that?
me,
Help me out.
so La Prensa
Well,
is a
Wells from
bilingual
Dallas, so kind of fill everybody in.
bilingual newspaper that my parents, I mean, it's been in San Antonio for forever, but my parents revived it in the early 80s.
Okay.
And so it was the only family-owned bilingual newspaper that was serving the city of San Antonio with positive news only.
Okay.
So we didn't report any crime. There was no negative news. If you were Democrat,
what the
Republican,
world
we
needs
gave
now.
you a voice. Exactly. It was just about giving the public a voice. And that was something that my father felt that was so important because he was a trailblazer. My dad was born in 1934. And so he was the one that had to go knocking on the doors. He was the Latino that had to make a presence with the Cisneroses of the world and the Gonzalez. Like they're
Right.
the ones that knocked down those doors.
And the doors
so-
were a lot different in the 80s. I mean, San
Oh my
Antonio's always
gosh.
been a
Yeah.
pretty, bilingual town,
Yeah.
Mexican American friendly, but it was still a much different place.
Oh,
you
Oh,
know, for, Hispanic.
absolutely. Oh,
I'm just doing the
yeah.
math real quick. Your father was
Oh.
born, not your grandfather.
No, my daddy. My
Yeah.
daddy.
No, that's good.
Yeah, that.
And he
Oh,
grew up
that's
in
a
the
whole other
Alasan
story.
courts in the
Alasan
West
Apache
Side, so, like,
courts, spoke
he
Spanish
came from
only.
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And so with La Prensa, Texas, so
Yeah.
what we had to do is, to make a really long story short, we had to,
I
my
see you over
father, he passed away in 2017. And, funny enough, that's when Bean and Chisme launched. And so, but it was at that time too that I knew that I had to close the original La Prensa de San Antonio. We had a family owned business for 29 years, but it was, there was a lot of, I mean, people that are listening, when you're part of a family business, there is drama that goes on that unless you're a part of a family business, you will just never understand.
100%.
And
Yep.
so
Yeah.
we had to close when Daddy died, and so my brother was able to reopen, thankfully, La Prensa, Texas. And so, but it was a perfect time for me because Samantha will tell you I never wanted La Prensa. Funny
Right.
enough, that was my dad's baby, and so it was. I think the timing, everything kind of happened perfectly because Sam will tell you when she asked me about Bean and Chisme, it was just months after my dad died. And I think she thought I was going to say no. Like, she was
Oh,
like, there's no way.
For sure.
She's
"There's
like,
no
this
way she's
girl's
not
like,
down to do this."
she's
That's
crying every day, just like, hi, Mika. I was like so depressed. I was so
Not to laugh at that,
sad.
but
No, but what's funny is like
Why
I
are
was
you laughing at the death? You asked.
right.
Sorry.
But it's crazy because I was so depressed. I was
So
extremely sad.
was this kind of an outlet for that?
That's
Did you,
exactly what it
For her.
became.
That's
When
awesome.
she asked, I was like, I need this energy to go somewhere.
Exactly.
And so I started, that was when we just kind of hit Bean and Cheeseman running. And it was just beautiful to have this other outlet. And also knowing that there's some part of my father's legacy that can be carried on because we're
Mhm.
still the two Latinas that are reaching out to a population that other businesses are struggling to reach out to. So it's awesome that we have businesses calling us and how do we penetrate this market? I said,
100%.
oh, now that we're hood rats, you're asking.
Oh,
us, you know?
well, where were you when we were? at
But it's
Harvard?
working.
Come on.
That's right.
But
You know
it's
what's funny is
working.
there's a guy named David Bird, I think it's Burd, and he came to the realization he's like nobody cares what I had to say, even though I'm a dope rapper and I had all this stuff that I wanted to say. So I
Mhm.
became
Not dope enough. I haven't heard of him.
I became Little Dicky,
Oh,
and
Mm.
all of a
never
sudden
mind.
people
I heard
started
of him.
listening
People
to what I
want-
was saying when I started joking and started,
Exactly.
and now I have a platform where I can say anything that I want,
Exactly.
literally, and
Yeah.
through comedy, I can say the most outlandish stuff, and so that's awesome that you're able to discover that. I want to focus a little bit on the actual hustle of creating the content, the writing
Oh,
process.
Oh,
How do you
man.
develop all of this?
Which Sam doesn't know anything about, right? From
That's
back in intern
Nothing.
days through the whole.
like take
Well,
us.
Yeah.
you've been public relations with La Prensa since like '99.
Oh, yeah. Between there and then working
So they
at
hired you when you were
Half
like 11.
the- So, yeah.
No, I was
yeah,
just curious,
exactly.
trying to do
He's
the
always
carry the
been a writer.
one.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I've
but the
always
labor
been,
laws,
right? Always
hold
been a
on.
writer, been a journalist, been a teacher, and then worked at the Current. Actually worked with Sam at Heartfire Media. Like when she was looking to expand, that's how we started working together. Is I left San Antonio Current to go work with her.
And Sam, you started Hardfire in 2012.
Yeah. So
Cool.
7 years.
And you actually won best startup, right?
Yeah, back then it was like the first year in business. So like
Yeah.
San Antonio Current's best startup.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
It is. It is. Thank you for your votes.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and
But-
you're coming up on November is 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Congratulations.
October, I
Me in
thought.
November,
That's why they
homie.
came. Here-
We are
how
November.
appropriate to announce,
Crazy.
Well, it's
So-
like mid-October, November.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whenever you type confirm your LLC, right?
What's
Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
though is I remember being so excited when we hit 3 years. Do you know? I was like,
And
oh
then
my
you-
God,
That
it's been 3
journey.
years. It's crazy. But going back to what you were asking about the content,
Yeah.
it's crazy because the content is probably the most difficult, most challenging part because that's all Sam and I want to do. But
Mm.
unfortunately, we got
Gotta
some
pay
mouths
the
at home that we
bills.
got to feed and we got some bills we got to pay.
We
And
know.
so it's hard. But the creating the content, that is where Samantha, she shines because she doesn't take no for an answer.
Take
And
me-
she's also just
ahead.
like so great at like following what's trending, what's hitting, what's going on. And so thankfully, I think that's why we work so well together because she'll just message me like, girl, we're doing this. And I'm like, cool, tell me when and where.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Hey, the
Tell me
cheese
when
man
and where.
and bean,
Bean,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
is the right a lot simpler than I'm thinking? It's more so you may see a current event and you think that this is noteworthy or a good topic, and you hit her up, and then y'all just come together and roll. And what works you keep.
It's a little bit of both. So
Okay.
you have to remember, like, content is like some of it's pre-planned and some
Right.
of it's on the fly, and you
Yeah.
gotta be able to do both
Precisely.
at the same time.
Mhm.
Right.
And so, we're having a meeting this week. We had a meeting Monday on like what are we gonna do for the holidays? Black
Mhm.
Friday's coming up. Like what are we gonna kick out there? But then last night, pinche black gato walks across
Yeah.
the Cowboys field, right?
And all of a
I'm
sudden,
sure Dari
everything's
will have something
different.
to say about that.
We
Dari's
had
gonna
to
steal
create
the
a
mic for
meme.
that one.
So there I go. Telling our
Creating a
customers, like,
meme.
give me a meme.
Yeah.
It's a healthy balance, but
Yeah.
I think, when you're producing, I want to say October this year of 2019, we produced six
We did a lot. I don't even know.
6 videos,
Yeah.
tons of memes. We went live at least 3 or 4 times.
crazy.
We were exhausted. 'Cause I
Yeah.
now, and I thought about it, I was like,
The
holy
epitome of
bananas.
hustle.
shit, dude. Like,
Yeah.
we just produced
A lot of
so
stuff.
much content. So I
But there was
think
planning
we're-
that went into it.
a lot of planning
you
was in
know?
August and September.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
so when you get on that level, the I guess the goal for everybody is to be able to not spend so much time on the 9 to 5, and then you're going to shift into where a majority of your time is going to go into the fun
Which
stuff.
that's interesting
Yeah.
because in a lot of sales fields, and probably not all of them, but it does seem like there's that lag. And not to say that this is a sales per se, but it kind of is. You're
Oh yeah.
creating
I
this
mean, you're
persona,
marketing
you're
your
pushing
product.
it out, you're
Absolutely.
figuring
Oh, I
out your
sell
market,
every
and
Oh yeah.
and
Every day.
there's like a 3-month lag. And
There
we're
wouldn't
seeing
be a
that
bean
now.
and Chisme if there was no money coming in.
100%,
I mean,
yeah.
No,
you know.
this isn't a hobby.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a business now. So Bean and Chisme is its own LLC owned by
Mhm.
us.
Well, and
Mhm.
you mentioned. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Nice.
PJ.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
I like his.
yeah,
Hey, producer
with the,
PJ, he hits
responses.
us
I
with
love
the
it.
sign
So,
language. We don't know it, but we follow it. Like,
speaking of that pinche black gato that I got on the field last night, being an Afro Latino, talking with 2 Afro Latinas, I'm assuming you have cowboy fans in your family.
Of course.
Tell us some funny
Is there
stories.
any other way?
Is there?
Come on, I'm from San Antonio.
How does being Chisme feel about the Cowboys?
Yes.
Her answer's pretty easy. Mine is,
I should know, whatever.
I am, I guess it's just like the Spurs for me. Like,
Okay.
I am a ride or die. Like, it's never gonna change. It doesn't matter, like, who the players are, who the coach is, who owns. Like, it's just for me. Like, we're just
The
that's
Spurs,
like
especially. We don't have
Bonita,
anything else
yeah.
here. I mean, that is. Yo, we got the
Shout out.
candle.
shout out
Like
SAFC.
Candle.
Well, FC for sure. Actually, Sam, you did some work for the Scorpions, right? With
Yeah.
Heartfire?
yeah. When they were they're San Antonio FC now. But
Yeah.
when I first started my company,
The
Gordon
Scorpion.
Hartman
Yeah.
was one of the first people who believed in me
That's
and kind of
awesome.
took a chance on like
And that guy's
creative.
story. What a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
even, that's even crazier than mine. But yeah, he was one of the people that I'll never forget this story. I had owned another little video production company, started with some buddies of mine, split off from that, started Heartfire. And he called and said, hey, that one commercial y'all did for free for
Yeah.
us for the Scorpions, because we did a commercial for free. We used to do shit for free. By the way, entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah.
There's the running artist meme. You can do it for exposure, right?
Right,
Like,
right, yeah.
yeah, I'm
So,
good on that.
For so long, the first few years, you got to do it for free. So that's what we did. But he called and said, who was the person that, did the spot? I was like, oh, this is my buddy Mike, and so-and-so edited and shot. He goes, no, who wrote the spot and
Mhm.
made the concept? I was like, oh, well, that was me. He's like, okay, I want you. And so that was one of the turning points in my career when I was like, okay, what I have to offer is this, the brain power and the creative. Because you can get any shooter editor with the talent, but it's who's behind the scenes, like with the vision of executing.
Which makes all the sense in the world. But you also know how to do all the editing, the producing. You
A
would do
little bit.
multiple a day
At-
in your internships
yeah,
in your early years,
Which
right?
was like forever ago. So at this point,
Oh, it's different. Yeah, that's true. It's probably
technology
Editing
a
is
whole
like
different way
changed
now.
completely.
She's like,
Yeah.
we don't do things analog anymore. I don't
Right?
know.
Yeah.
Tapes and stuff, like,
Dude, I remember
Reels.
like editing like beta to beta.
Yeah, no.
Ah,
At this point,
that
I
was
don't.
crazy.
But I still keep up with the technology as far as like knowing the lingo to explain, because we're communicators.
Yeah.
100%.
We gotta communicate
Yeah.
with lots of different people.
And thankfully, there's a lot of apps too. So she'll message me like, "Hey, can you cut this clip and like add this little thing?" And I'm like, "Here, down." Like, all right, I got like 7 apps here to download. I'm like, on it.
Your tech people have to
Boom.
appreciate that
hilarious.
because I'm telling you, in the music world, when a guy rolls in and he's like, "Hey man, so we're the part that goes, can you make it go?" And you're like, what?
Like, yeah.
I feel like I do that every
yeah.
It's like,
single.
we actually do that.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I want the graphic to go, and then go
Yeah.
like this, and then cut
Well,
right there.
Then in that case, I take back every nice thing I just said about you.
Hey, so
It's
Sam,
okay.
was that Scorpions commercial the one you won the Addy for? Or was that a different one?
I think we won one for Pizza Patron. Oh, you know what? Yeah, we
Pizza
did.
Patron.
The
And
jingle
Pizza
for Patron,
Patron.
right?
Jingle for Pizza
And then
Patron,
also
and then that
Salvation
Scorpions
Army.
Oh, yeah, Salvation Army one?
Yeah,
That
those-
one
those
was- that
were
one
from
caught me.
Addies, which is the Advertising Association
I just
Advertising
saw Addie.
Federation,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
whatever.
honest.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Federation, yeah.
Pizza
So did those
Patron, man, it
awards-
hosed me, dog. Pizza Patron, real quick. I found out that they take pesos, and I thought
Yeah,
that was
they do.
so cool.
They do.
And so I
Yes.
wanted to go buy a pizza with pesos.
Yeah.
So I went to a
Find 'em?
buddy of mine,
So ridiculous.
and I traded it dollar for dollar. I got hosed. This gringo got hosed.
I
Did
was
you
like,
go?
Huh?
Did you go to?
Yeah, I
Pizza
rolled
Patron?
up. They're like, bro, it's not 5 pesos. I'm like, but I gave him $5. What are you talking about? Let's do this. Yo,
Oh no.
lessons learned.
Hey, this guy used to be a detective.
Oh.
Come on. Man.
I wasn't detecting currencies well, bro.
That's true. That's true. Hey, so what was that tagline for the? I saw that pizza dough.
Oh, that pizza dough.
Yeah.
Dude, that was
Nice.
crazy.
I see what you did
Again,
there.
that was another point
Yeah.
in our careers where somebody
It was
said,
you and I.
"Give me an idea."
Yep.
And you know, the marketing director at Pizza Patron at the time was open to it, and we were
Mhm.
like, "Okay, like, are you sure?" And they're like, "Yeah, like, just give me what you got," because you have to remember, like, a lot of these marketing directors are just swamped with other. They have so much going on, especially with digital, handling all digital advertising now, and so they're just like, you know what? I don't have time to think of all the
The
creative
actual
fun stuff."
concepts.
Right.
They're more
Yeah,
thinking
the
of the
creative.
spots and where the scheduling goes
Yeah.
and the program behind the campaign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I mean, man, that's what I live for. When people just say, "I will pay you just to come up with the
content.
idea." Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
So do you?
That's-
We get a lot of people. Typically, it's in that seat, but hey, we love having the double. Right? But we get a lot of guests that are in here, and some of them thrive off of the validation. Like, hey, the Addy, you know, the awards. Some of them thrive off of, hey, I don't care what the award is. I don't care what my title is. Just pay me. You know what I
Right.
mean? Success comes in different ways to different people. Do you all find that one is more appreciative than the other, or do you guys kind of weigh them the same?
Well, I mean, I think it's so funny because, and I don't know if I'm going to answer your question with this, but one of my favorite quotes, and she's heard me say this like a million times, is that there's nothing wrong with trying to make an impact and an income at the same time. And I think it's okay to do both, and I think it's okay to
I mean,
aspire
it's necessary.
to do both, right? You know, and so I think with like Sam and I think like that's just like a huge part of what motivates us is that we're all about empowering other people. You know what I mean? Just it just kind of, I don't know. And I think like in a lot of what we've done, there's been a lot of pay it forward scenarios, which is really great because we live in a city that's awesome at doing
It's
that.
the world's smallest large
Large
town,
city.
Oh,
right? Or
absolutely.
the largest small town. So
Absolutely.
we can literally through the network. Well, you guys
Sure.
were talking about with technology that I thought was important. That I think is it the same friend that you initially worked with, but that it was through a matter of a friend just happened to have the equipment
Yeah.
Right.
necessary for the web series.
Sure. And we
Right.
had
And through that
never
happenstance, you guys started it.
Yeah.
exactly, we had never seen it before. And even when we went live on our first episode, so many people were like, what are we looking at? What channel is this? Like,
Is this
you
like-
have lower thirds. Like, can we
Pressing the
find
button?
it on KSAT? And it's like, no, we're just here on Facebook. But it was really hard for them to, you know, to
Kinda comprehend what was
understand
going on.
that. Yeah.
that format.
So and coming back full circle with the whole income and impact, I think right now, like Sam and I with Bean and Chisme, what's really cool about it, and it's funny because her and I are very different. Sam and I are very different, and it's funny because I know I always say like with Sam, this is what when you talk about success, right? And
Right.
what defines it? Our definitions of success as people are very different. But what's interesting when it comes to the show is I'm very much an in the moment kind of person. Like I pretty like, oh my God, look at what we're doing now. This girl, oh no. She's like, once she hits her goal, she forgot that this was her goal. Her goal is here.
I mean,
That's
you're
always
But
never
then when
hungry.
satisfied,
she's
which
never
sucks.
satisfied. So
Awesome.
I remember having
Never be
videos and it was
satisfied.
like, oh, we only had 5,000 views. If we only had 10,000, now she's like, well, it's at 18.5. And I'm like, girl. And so I'm always having to remind her because in her head, she is yet to reach any level of success yet.
But is that not the trademark of all the greats? Like,
Well,
do you
and
not
that's why
continue
she
to strive for that
appreciates it.
next level every
Yeah.
time you attain your goal?
Well, and I think both yes, and I think it's different because with me, like I'm so appreciative of where we are at now, and so there's that
True.
balance of also reminding Sam of like, girl, look at where we were at a year ago, 2 years ago. Like this is something, and it means something.
And you guys created it from
and
the
we-
ground up. I
from-
mean, it's
from
completely
nothing.
from nothing.
From
Literally,
nothing.
from
And
some guy saying y'all need to work
Ex-
together into
exactly.
a photo shoot, and now here you are.
Exactly. And so we've become, I guess, in my opinion, I've told this Sam too, like more than content creators, we're content builders because we have had to learn how to build from just like nothing.
That makes total sense.
From zero. But again, so that whole success thing, I think it's where we differ. But I also think that that's why Bean and Chisme is continuing to grow. If you had two Ninas, it would plateau. If you had two Sams, it would get it would be
100%.
it would just be
hit a
no
wall.
way.
Could hit a wall.
It
you
would
know?
be there would be no way. And so
Sam would
there's
be like,
that.
we've been planning. We're done with that. We wouldn't have to. We can move on.
I think what you guys are doing is kind of the future of growth in the business world and the entrepreneurship world. You know, it used to be, let me make a resume, and the resume was, it's got to be one sheet. They're not going to look
right.
at you, and then it turned into, you got to make a video to go with it. Then it turned into LinkedIn, and now people are literally with resumes creating, instead of giving, here's my piece of paper, who cares about it? Here's my professionally made by J.J. Abrams, who made this video to hire me for a
Right.
job.
Yeah.
So what you've done is you've created content that you can say, look, I'm looking for this next thing with my company. You should hire me, and here's my product.
Right.
Boom.
Absolutely.
So you're taking it to the next level.
I got a question. With little Chismosa and little Frijolita.
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 I like the effort there.
What negative challenges have you guys had? I know there's always
Yeah,
going to be,
where to begin?
you know, there's haters everywhere because, you
Here
know,
come the hood
speaking of
rat.
In Living Color, I love the Wayans brothers.
So remember a lot of my
And
Oh,
so when they would,
Nina's rolling up the
You
sleeves.
know,
Watch out now.
but
It's really
on a real talk, as a minority man and speaking to minority women,
Yeah.
you're always going to have those haters like, oh, why are you doing that to Mexican women and so on and so forth. Can you elaborate on some of the negative feedback and how
Yeah.
you overcome that?
I mean, I would just like the negative feedback for me. I have been told no my whole life.
Sure.
So for me, actually I get a kick out of it because I love the comebacks.
Oh,
I
yeah.
live for the comebacks.
Yeah.
Like if Whataburger, like if I didn't have in another
True
life,
competitor.
I'd be the person
Oh,
in
yeah.
Whataburger that just sits on Twitter like, hey,
Or
like
the
other
Wendy's.
people. Like I love that shit. But that part doesn't bother me. Maybe Nina can elaborate on that. But I want to talk about the struggle. Like let's be real. The
Yeah.
struggles at San Antonio is one of the most hated, not hate, haterade
Yes.
mentality. And then we,
Yeah.
as much as we love each other and help each other, we just as much hate in each other and break each other down. Like this is
Yeah.
one of the hardest markets. And if you don't notice, you can't open a restaurant here without it
Mhm.
either succeeding or failing. You
We
can't
talk
open
about
a
that all
bar.
the time.
You
Yeah.
Yeah.
can't. I mean, it is tough. I mean,
Yeah.
our people are tough.
Yeah.
And I want to get to
And
your
I-
answer, but right where we're here, how do you fix it? How do you change that hater
So
mentality?
unfortunately for Nina and I, we're the trailblazers. And
Okay.
so we are right now breaking through the barriers ourselves. And so by doing that, we have to make the mistakes and we have
Yeah.
to also like learn. So what we're doing is we're failing forward.
Yeah.
Love it.
So we're like,
Absolutely.
hurry up, let's just try it. They said no, okay,
Absolutely.
try it again.
Yeah. And
Hurry up, that didn't work. Okay, now let's just try it again. And every time we break through a barrier, we take a huge step forward.
Yeah.
And for us, brands, especially like the Taco Cabanas, the Wingstops, the HEBs, from the very beginning, they were like, whoa, this is weird. You're a little too crazy. You're a little too loud. And you say too many little crazy things. You don't represent our culture properly, right? So then we take a little baby step back and then we take a hit and we say, no, there is somebody
Mhm.
who sees the value in what we're
Mhm.
doing. And sure enough, we just signed Traders
Yeah.
Village, the
Yeah.
flea market here,
That's
as a title sponsor. And I said,
Right on.
this was the moment.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
was a huge, I said, we broke through the mold.
Yeah.
So far,
and
it's like 30,000 that see the viewer that you're putting out, you know,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
every video.
Well, so
yeah,
between.
no, it's crazy.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no,
between
I was
University. I
gonna
wanted to know
say,
university.
yeah, I was gonna say really quickly to kind of answer your question about like the haters. You know what's funny is, and I think Sam would agree, like we don't get a crazy amount of like hater, but what is funny is that we'll get people that hate on us if, oh, you didn't wear the right shrimp earrings. Oh, those eyebrows, like what happened to the white eyeliner?
Why
Like where was your
Dos
lipstick?
X instead
I
of a
know,
Miller
you
Lite?
had a
And I'm like,
modelo,
really?
like ain't no hood rats drinking no modelo. It's like, goddamn, like we can't even hood rat.
They're the
hardcore
validation.
enough, you know?
That's
So,
how I call
but
this out.
exactly.
Super raza, bro.
But that's for us though. I think it's hilarious,
that kind of
and
like
it's
a-
great that happens sometimes.
I
You
was gonna say
know,
like a badge of honor. Like they're paying attention
Exactly.
enough to be like, yo, wear the
Exactly.
right earrings.
Right.
Come
What
on.
yeah, and
Right.
what I would also say on the whole hater thing is we also get people that are like, you're an embarrassment. You know, again, you're not a reflection of like whatever, right? Of what we are, right? But I'm like, whoa, hold on. So you're telling me that George Lopez a successful Emmy-winning comedian
Angela
worldwide,
Johnson.
Angela Johnson, Chisme,
Yeah.
all of those people who made fun of their own culture for
Mhm.
comedy and parody
But way
purposes.
beyond that, I mean, you
Mhm.
could extend it into Dave Chappelle, Eddie
Exactly.
Murphy. I mean,
Anybody,
it's
Exactly.
a
So
freedom of
why-
expression, and for us to not be able to joke about who we
No,
are is
Right.
and that's the thing. And I try
a
to
joke in
remind
itself.
them, if they can do it, why can't we? You
Mhm.
know,
Right.
why can't we? And why can't you accept that? You know,
Yeah.
it's just
So,
beyond me.
not making an excuse for you guys, and I don't want to in any way kind of let this be, but I would imagine part of it has to be female, right? Like, so men can get away with things innately sometimes that maybe we can get away saying things that maybe you guys would get a little more hate for
Oh,
that
yeah,
we wouldn't
absolutely.
necessarily.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you have to remember, like we walk into a boardroom and they ask who's the boss, like who's the owner. I mean we get that all. I mean I can't imagine how many times you
Yeah.
got it, but like I
Bitch,
get
I
that.
run this shit.
Who's the boss, or like, oh, you know, and then or we'll find out so and so asked for 50 grand and he got it, but we asked for 1,500 and they
And
And
told
we
us
they're
couldn't.
they're
no.
gonna take it to the
Oh,
board
every
and vote
day.
on it.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we actually had a question on social media about that. So
Yes.
you guys probably deal a lot with the mansplaining and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
How do you address that? How do you what's your all's tactic, your approach? Do you have one, or do you just
I
kind of
do.
take it
I don't
case by case?
know.
I mean, look, I tell women all the time, know your shit, okay? If you're gonna
Yeah.
be going in there and this dude's being a freaking out, can I say the F word? Sorry.
You
Say
can
that
say
for
whatever you
everybody.
want.
Say it. Wait,
Can
everybody be
I
quiet.
say
Everybody
funny
quiet. We
names?
want to hear it. Go.
You know what? And I imagine them all fucking naked too. Like, you know what? Your thing is probably super small, and you're probably
Why you
fat.
gotta
and-
point at me?
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm just
I'm just
rolling
saying,
up to the
like,
desk real
we're
quick so nobody can
all
imagine my
see,
below the
like-
waist.
I'm so sorry. Hey,
It's all good.
don't
It's
get
good.
That-
if you're
hey,
getting
that
offended,
little guy?
I think I'm
That little
right.
I'm okay.
So
We recovered.
anyway, so I'm just saying, like, look, we're all human beings. Don't ever be intimidated. But at the same time, like, know what you're talking about. And if you can go in there and sell because you know what the hell you're doing, and you did your best, then oh wow, like prove your point and make sure that you let them know your presence because it's very much like I've been in the room. I'm an alpha myself, and I've been in a room with another alpha, and I'm like, look, you got to like establish your presence, let them know you're not playing around, and then be direct because we honestly learn from men and we learn from them. You know, when as much as we want to dog men, like, nah, learn from how they communicate. Learn like they're no bullshit. They ask for what they want. They're extremely confident in their asks, and they don't blink an eye. And for us, Nina and I are like, well, the 1,500, but we can do like, for 800. But like, but if you don't like that, like, let me know. We'll work with you. No, men are like, oh, it's $10,000.
Well, and I think
that's a good point, and I just want to make sure we cover that point because you said there always been some men in your life that actually have given you that push and that feedback that you've needed
Sure.
and helped you become as confident as good as how you are. So
Yeah.
ultimately it comes from both sides, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both sides.
100%.
And I think for me, like she was saying, I think it's a little bit different because, growing up at La Prensa with a father who was a lot older than me, surrounded by other business owners, other just men. There were always men running La Prensa. For me, I guess I found it earlier. I read people's energies more than I read what they say. And I think
Right.
Sam will tell you that. So if like someone's coming at me and trying to mansplain, but if I don't feel any like sort of energy or anything, it's just like, yo, just let him do his thing.
Yeah.
Hold
Cool
it.
story, bro.
I'm not. No,
You're
it's
like-
real.
I can
It's
tell when she's
true.
I read 'em out.
already checked out
It's
because
just-
she didn't like their energy.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
is also very valuable.
Yeah.
Though, because I'm like here going on and on and on, and she's like,
And
It doesn't
exactly.
matter.
And so, and she's seen the other. If I'm with someone and they're trying to like, we had this recently. Oh no, if I'm quickly reading your vibe and your negative ass energy, like you can cut that shit. Like I can't with that. And she can feel it.
Right.
She can feel it. And I'll tell her too. So with me, I'm more cautious about that. Like I don't like that negative energy. And that can come from men or women.
girl.
That can come from
I was
yeah.
going to ask about that because
That-
I've heard that point.
Yes.
And a lot of women now that are in business and in
It goes back to the hate.
Right.
There's so much competition now amongst the women that even becomes an issue even more so, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, PJ, just for those that may not be coming across the mic, PJ saying that it could come across more so from the women, with the women, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And again, I think Sam and I though, thankfully, we've been able to, I guess, just be so open with who we are that hasn't, again, it hasn't been a crazy issue, but we've seen other people around us that are like, damn, did you see how they slammed so and so and slammed so, and it really is a problem. But again, it's men and women. I think it happens from both angles. But Sam and
100%.
I, this is also where our personalities, I think, really work for each other, because she's the one that's to real quick, like, oh no, don't you dare. And I'm like, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, but
No,
we-
really, like it's true, and it'll happen in text message. And so half the times I hear Sam like, "Girl, you are way nicer than me," and she'll just forget about. But again,
cannot.
but
But
when
she-
it comes to the
can't.
point, the conversations, when it's like, "No, you don't even," blah blah blah. Guess who handles that?
Yeah.
Her.
Well,
Because
there's
she'll be like, and I'm
She
like,
does it. She's like, "Oh, let me tell them something,"
Look,
you know. So
but
it's a good
in our
balance,
nature.
because we're able to maintain relationships.
I like how you whisper in there.
I'm sorry.
We're able to maintain the important relationships, and we're able to say bye. to
But
the-
I
to
wasn't
the
always
one.
like that until
Exactly.
she helped me realize this bitch ain't worth it.
Yes.
And so, you
Yeah.
know, when I
It's an
like,
opportunity cost.
when
Yes.
the nerves, yeah, you know, and when the
Dude,
nerves, and she taught me,
energy
when your
cost.
nerves and your anxiety is high just from a stupid client,
Yeah, what the, that's
They
not
gotta go.
that's
It's not
not
worth
work
it.
anymore.
It's not
Gotta
worth
go.
it.
It's a
And
matter
one
of
of the-
where you give your energies, right?
Where-
You
Exactly.
choose how you respond
That's
to
right.
every single
everything.
thing.
All of it.
And as soon as you respond negatively to somebody negative,
won.
you've given them control over
Exactly.
you
But
entirely.
remember, when you're an upcoming entrepreneur, you're willing to prostitute yourself for whatever. Like, treat me like shit. I don't give
You
a shit.
ain't,
I
so
was
you ain't
that's-
tricking if
for
you ain't. I
money
mean, like,
at
I
the
think that's
time.
huge because you mentioned it earlier about guys and their willingness to ask, right? For 10
Oh,
G's. And
absolutely.
you guys saying, hey, we'll do 1,500, but for 800. And then, Nina, you're talking about getting up and walking away. One of the most valuable.
Yeah. Which
she will.
Well, but
Which
here's the
I've
deal.
done.
So in
And
ad
I've told
sales that
her.
I did way back in the day, one of the most valuable lessons I learned from my boss was he would look somebody square in the eye and go, hey, this campaign's going to cost $10,000. We'll do it. And the guy will say, I have 8,500. And he'd look him back and say, I'm not going to steal your money. I'm not going to take your 8,500 bucks from you because it's not going to do it. In order to do this right, I need 10 grand and get up
Yeah.
and walk away.
Yeah.
But that goes back to what you guys are talking about in terms
Yeah.
of if you have that confidence, if you have that presence, which you all now do, and have that ability to turn it away, you're not getting the anxiety. You're not dealing with clients you don't like, and you're actually
Exactly.
passionate about the projects you take on.
And
Well-
now we're in that phase, thank God.
And you
Yeah.
talked about, you hit it on the head. Even when you walk in to have this conversation with people, especially when from a female to a male, driven boardroom, you walk in with this confidence, you exuberate it. And we used in the law enforcement world, we called that command presence.
Okay.
You don't even have to say anything. It's how you
Okay.
dress, how you carry yourself. And you are doing that when you're going to interact. You're like, I am this person. I run this. And they're like, oh, she runs this. Let me,
Well, you know what's interesting about that too is that's also where we differ though, because like
You see
this
these
is what
nasty
I
ass
walk
shot
into.
glasses?
Hey,
Yo,
that's
no,
not-
no.
Hey,
No,
get
No,
more real
no.
than that.
And the reason I showed is because she's the first one. She's like, you just go to like a meeting in your yoga pants and your chanclas, because I'm just different. Like I guess, and I think that's why her and I work, because she very much is an alpha and I'm
Mhm.
not. I read a room. I love reading rooms. I love reading energy. And it's like, okay, if that guy doesn't, command this room, we're going to have issues here. That girl, her ego needs to be stroked a little.
Hey,
I'm
so
gonna
should
tell
we
her
do
she's
an
pretty.
experiment?
Yeah,
So I'm
let's
gonna tell
do
her
it.
she's
Did you read the
pretty.
room?
Read the room. Read the room.
No.
There's no going back.
What do we
No,
got?
no.
All positive energy here.
Well, I just want to relay what producer PJ was whispering right here. Basically, you
Sweet
ladies bring out the
nothings.
best in each other. You know, it's
Girl,
as
I
simple
can't even.
Yeah.
as when I was in the Marine Corps, steel sharpens steel. You know, and it's not to say that you're not an alpha. You're just a
It's
different
very
breed
different,
of
very
alpha.
different
Oh,
On
yeah.
that point, to what Chris and PJ were saying earlier, what Latinas did you admire growing up? Be it Rosie Perez, even Mendez. Like, can you speak on that a little bit? That gave
Your
you
mother?
the drive for the hustle.
First of all, I would like to give a shout out to rest in peace, Karina Quintanilla Perez.
because she was like my inspiration.
Oh my God, make sure you rest in peace right now. Shout out
Right now.
Hey, fuck Yolanda.
Straight up.
Like, I'm just, for me, there are a couple people, growing up, looking at the whole, I don't know, like, I know it sounds silly, but this is who I follow, Salma Hayek, Sandra Bullock, you know, just heavy hitting people who
I
had
was say, why is that silly? I like them
just
both.
because they're actresses. I didn't know if you were looking for like, oh, you know,
No,
philanthropist or
anything.
whatever, you know, just right
I mean,
now.
Gandhi.
actual actresses.
America Ferrera, like even Longoria,
Yeah.
even Longoria, like right now, I'm really proud of like the philanthropy and the political moves that she's doing. She's risking it all. She is risking it all by getting on those stages and saying like all the things that she's saying. She doesn't have to do that, you know. And
Right.
so, for me, that's kind of who I look up to chingonas. If you don't know what a chingona is, go to
Take it out. They'll tell you how to buy a
Heartfire
house.
Media,
Go to youtube.com and go where?
Heartfire Media 210,
Okay.
and then you'll see like I did a whole video on being a chingona.
I'm gonna look it
And
up.
and specifically how to buy a home. Being a chingona.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Oh,
I'm gonna need to-
Specifically.
I mispronounced it. It was specifically.
he did it right.
Yeah,
Specifically
again,
how to
like
buy a
that's
home.
you know that's a whole other thing that we started through Beanie Chisme. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
if we have a voice, let's leverage it and empower others. And I noticed first time home buying was a big deal for especially for a Latina
Yeah.
single mom person. For me to show that in my process to everybody else, it was an honor for me to just even be able to share that.
Well, and I thought it was going to be a joke, just given kind of the no, I really did. You're like, how to
It's
be a chingona,
hilarious.
and then I'm watching, and I'm like, wait,
oh
this
shit,
is-
she really bought a
This is
house.
valuable information. Oh shit,
So-
this is how you do that. All right, cool. You
But
know?
again, that's a testimony to us trying out content.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Doesn't match, but hey, let's just keep cranking it out. And it was sponsored. and we
Something's
got paid
gonna
for
hit.
that. Yeah.
So Nina, your questions are stacking up. Your first
Oh.
question is who are some influence of yours, and then the
Oh, yeah.
second is what are our energies?
Oh, what are your energies? I can't just like read energies just like that.
Hey, she's
Oh my
not
God.
Cleo,
Cleo?
bro.
Not that
Call me now. Hey, call me now,
I'm
child.
not that great. No, it's really not even that. When it's the whole energy thing, I think y'all know what I'm talking. It's just
Definitely.
it's
you
a
get the vibes in a
vibe,
room
and it's,
for
and
sure.
it's
See,
really
absolutely.
strange because again, and honestly, yeah, I don't feel it from any of y'all, but like she knows when I feel it because I'll tell her first thing walking in or after. I'm just like, I just don't
Yeah.
like whether it's that guy or that girl, and oftentimes I can't even pinpoint why. I'm just like there's just something.
It's a
Stranger
feeling.
danger,
It's a-
man.
There's
it's a
just
gut feeling.
something,
yeah.
and there's that. Yeah, right? And it's the third kind, yeah. And you know, and
He goes,
it's
"Oh, well, let's just cut to the chase, all
I
right?
don't
Call
even
it
know-
what it is.
I don't even know what's going on, man. Like
Yeah.
half of
And
this
then
show,
go,
I'm
"What,
like,
dude?"
bro, I'm Google translating over here. Like, I'm so
What the-
lost.
Google Translator's
Norwegian,
got
Native American. I'm like,
a lot
this ain't
better.
maize and this ain't fish. I don't know what's happening.
But sorry, that's so funny. But yeah, when it comes back to the whole energy thing, and I told Sam this, you know, I think like last week, I think a lot of it has to do with something that we're all capable of. But for me, it took my father dying. And the reason I say that is unless y'all have experienced ever a death of a parent, there's something that does to you when you, like for me, daddy was Mexican Superman. He's immortal. He's not, you know, like he's not
Right.
gonna die. Like, are you kidding me? Like, there's just no way. And then it fucking happens.
Mm.
Your dad dies, the person you've had on this pedestal, and your world just shifts. I ended a relationship after almost 9 years because I realized there were things that I was doing that wasn't for myself. All of a sudden, I started almost counting, like, okay, I'm going to choose to give a fuck about that, but not that. That, but not that. Mark Manson style. If y'all haven't looked up Mark Manson, check him out.
Do it
You only
now.
have so many fucks to give.
I mean, after you
And
finish the
so-
podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
After, and
Oh,
so
yeah, that's
all
right.
that to say that I think that when he died, I became sensitive to energies. I think I became sensitive to my favorite thing now is caca energy, right? And so because hashtag caca energy, I stole that, but stole it. But anyways, and so when it comes to Sam, it's funny because she doesn't give herself enough credit, and I think here recently she's finally starting to open up to that
Oh, yeah.
energy thing. I really do. I think, and oftentimes it takes, whether it's like a hard year or just you just go through shit and you realize like, oh man, I don't have the space.
Well, I mean, not to
You
go down
know?
a rabbit hole, although we can, but I mean,
Love
it's-
rabbit holes.
Yeah, well, the energy rabbit hole.
What's up,
right?
Alice?
Hey, what rabbit hole? No, but if you start looking at modern science, a lot of that stuff is proven that we do have energies. We all
Oh, yeah,
operate on that.
Vibrations.
We can feel each other
Yeah.
vibrate, whether it's through vibrations or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
We've built that in, and a lot of that in Western culture has kind of been pushed aside, right? To your point about the spirituality, particularly in the Mexican American culture, I mean, we just celebrated Dia de los Muertos last weekend, which is a massive holiday for Latin American culture, right? Where they literally believe that for that time period, the spirits are able to cross over and they're able to spend time with their family, right? Which is ingrained. But a lot of that stuff we kind of don't pay attention to anymore. Whether it's, I don't know if it's generational or just kind of American culture or whatever the case may be. But yeah, no, it's definitely. I mean, energy is a thing for sure.
Yeah, no, it's for sure a thing. And again, it's it's something that I think once you're aware, it can save you so much time. Again, when it comes, and I think Sam too. And again, this is that balance. It's that balance because the other thing too with Latinos, especially when it comes to females, is we tend to be the ones that have to like support and raise everybody, the tias, the moms,
Absolutely.
We end up being
everything.
like the pillar of
The
our
pillar.
own
Very much so.
family. Like
Yeah.
I'm taking care of my
It's a
mom and my dad
matriarchal
and the kids
culture.
Yes.
and the husband and the thing or
Yes.
whatever. You know, we tend to be.
Yeah, we fall in this gap where it's like we've got both our lives that we're trying to balance. And so if you're letting everybody take that energy from you, oh my God, forget it.
It's a
Forget it.
finite
You'll-
resource,
Oh yeah.
right? You only have so much of it to give.
Right.
I always say that Mama only has so much to give.
Mhm.
I mean, again, right? Physics, it can be created or destroyed. There's only so much of it, so you've got to decide. Right?
Decide.
gotta
You
decide.
gotta
Don't determine.
decide.
You gotta decide,
whether
but
you
don't-
want
you gotta
to
figure
or
it
like
out.
not want
I was
to.
about to try to do the accent
And
too. I'm like, hold on, leave it alone.
Yeah.
You have no place in this room to even try right now.
So, ladies, kind of bringing it back, talk to us about some of the stuff you all have coming up, some things you want us to keep an eye out for, anything that really is on the radar that we should be looking out for.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Being in Chisme has evolved obviously to now we only do these sketch comedy parody videos now. We don't do a live show. So we've been asked several times, like, oh, when's your show? When's your season starting? Like, well,
Yeah.
Well, y'all are welcome to
already
come in
the
here
season.
anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, just 'cause we switched the format, like we said, to be more conducive for what we're gonna get the more ratings for. And so there's that. We launched a merchandise line, by the way.
I saw that. That's awesome.
beanincheese.net/shop.
One more time for those in the back.
beanincheesenet.net and then /shop for the actual merch line. If you go to the website, you'll find it. But so there's that, and then there was something else. Oh, that's what else I want to talk about. So a lot of people ask us like, what's happening with Bean and Chisme? Where are you guys going? And honestly, the ultimate goal for Bean and Chisme is for us to be picked up by a network.
Okay.
So if you're wondering why we're producing content on such a massive level, is because we are ready to be sold.
So,
we
hey,
are ready.
NBC, you heard it here first. Pick them up.
Netflix.com,
by the
Amazon.
way, we'll make a
Hashtag
great
HBO,
spot
hashtag
on your
Showtime.
radio.
Well, we talked about this in our last episode. I don't know if y'all saw with Danny Trevino.
Oh,
So
okay.
That's a
he's
dope
he's
shirt.
on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
But go back,
yeah.
go back. That's a dope shirt at the
Which
top.
one?
Keep going.
Alright.
Keep going. Like
Who
this is the
had it?
first one. Bang.
That one.
Oh, also,
I love
I
that.
heard you guys have Fiesta medals.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
They're right there. If you scroll on the
We're gonna have to get
website,
some.
we've got two
Here's the
different
thing though,
kinds.
and sometimes we get boxed in really quick, right? We live in San Antonio, we work out of San Antonio, but we do have viewership outside of San Antonio and even
Yes.
some outside of the United States, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
couple.
So that said,
Word.
what is Fiesta? Somebody curb that
That's true.
question. Tell
Great-
them what it
great
is.
point.
Fiesta is Mexican Mardi Gras.
Yes.
Bingo. And it
Exactly. I was
happens
gonna
to
say that's what
be-
we always call it.
it
Mexican
is-
Mardi Gras.
the second largest party, only second to Mardi Gras, and people don't realize that.
Puro pinche party, bro.
Puro pinche.
Yo.
Straight up.
For
straight
like
up.
for
I
like 12
moved here
days.
3 years ago. I'm like, what do y'all talk about Fiesta?
Non-stop.
What's up?
That's
Like,
it.
Yeah.
I like the puro pinche for sure.
For sure.
No, but going back to kind of where you guys are going in the future, you guys between the two of y'all, just through your Insta, kind of presence, y'all have about what 25,000 followers combined.
Oh, Yeah, it's a
That's
lot.
correct.
I
But,
think
like,
that
a lot
seems
took it
reach.
more. It's like
Yeah.
33,000.
No, so the reason I was asking is because with Danny, we were talking about kind of the hustle behind the industry, right?
Mhm.
So you all have worked for networks. You kind of have some of that background, I guess, behind the scenes. What to our listeners, viewers, what does that look like getting picked up? How does that process work? What's your all's approach? I mean, obviously a lot of content.
Yeah,
Sure.
so San Antonio is not the market to do that, and so we have to travel to LA a lot and just get in front of the right
How
people
often
at
y'all
the
in
right
LA?
time. I only got to go about 3 times this year, but
Okay.
I mean, that's why the business model has to move forward, making money, because that money is going to
To be able to
offset our
fund the
cost of
trips,
travel.
to-
Exactly, and
Exactly.
just to be at the right place at the right time. We were just recently in LA in June,
Mhm.
and
July.
we were at July, and we were at a National Latino Association, Independent Producers Conference, and all of the major networks were there. Everyone you can think of, they were all there, and they're all looking for
It's a huge
Latino-based
demographic
Oh,
right
yeah.
now, and it's
content.
only
Crazy.
growing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I told Nina, if we're not riding this wave right now, we will miss it, because right now they're looking for the golden egg. And if you
That's awesome.
think about it, the networks right now, we have a diversity and inclusion board,
Oh yeah.
but they don't have the talent pool to match
Mm-hmm.
to fulfill that need. And so what's happening, I met a guy at Disney and he was like, look, I need your resume and I need it quick, because when they say we have to have a Latina writer, a Latina producer, a Latina
Mhm.
The whole
production
bit, yep.
person,
Whole
and we
works.
don't have it, then we're not fulfilling that obligation that we have. And so I tell everybody right now, this is the time to get your portfolios together, your demo
Mhm.
I mean,
reels,
that's
and
that's
get over there.
immensely important to people
Mhm.
listening. I mean, it's a huge opportunity out there. You got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing too. And Sam brought a good point. And again, as much as we absolutely love San Antonio, there still are boundaries, you know. And when we go to LA, when we go to Austin, when we talk to people outside of the market, it's just the opportunities are just different that are out there. You can really only go again so far here. And so it's important for us to make a lot of these connections, because the other thing that Sam and I have noticed, just with the people that we've been able to meet through being in Chisme, other people that don't have a YouTube yet or don't have a podcast yet, there is a lot of hella good talent right here in San Antonio
Definitely.
Mhm.
that could be in LA, that could be in Austin, that could be the next, show on El Rey Network or whatever it may be. And so Sam and I also have a passion for wanting to cultivate
That's
those
awesome.
people, to cultivate those hustlers, to say, all right, look, we know what it's like to go from zero to, I mean, now we've got monthly like 1.4 million people a month that we're reaching on Facebook alone.
That's unbelievable.
awesome.
So, which is so cool to be able to
Congratulations.
say,
Yeah, hell
like
You know,
these
huge.
little ratas are doing, but again, that also.
I'm not laughing because I don't know what that means.
But rats, but that, yeah.
I'm gonna let you extrapolate.
Hi,
Ratas.
boy.
Hey, can we put
Rats.
Oh,
Well,
can we
I
put
tell her that,
subtitles
but
on
I
this?
I
have
know.
to tell her, say hood rats, don't
Say
say
hood
hood
rats.
rats.
I know,
Some
I
people
always
don't know what
forget.
that is.
I know, I always forget. But now I forgot my train of thought.
No,
Oh,
you were
that was
talking
just
about
the million
cultivating
Oh,
reach.
talent
yeah,
that
Cultivating
exists.
yeah.
talent,
And so
yeah.
cultivating that talent, because we meet people, and again, we have some friends just like right off the bat, I mean, we could name 4 people easily. That's like, if we could put
If I
them
only
on,
had
if we only had the
money,
resources,
I'd put you on so
real quick.
I would manage you.
real
That's
quick.
so awesome.
But that goes
Yeah.
into the conversation about like moving forward. So
Exactly.
another crossroads that I'm at personally is like, what do I do with Heartfire Media? I
Mhm.
literally started a marketing and PR firm that's just there 7
Mhm.
years in. So now am I a comedic actress? Am I a producer now? And I'm not a business owner. So I've had to really dive in and do some thinking of like, what do I want in my life? What do I see
Mhm.
what do I envision for myself? What did I envision for Heartfire? And at the end of the day, like Heartfire Media wants to produce content and
Mhm.
quality shows that become successful. So if I can just sell one,
Yeah.
if I
Well,
can
I-
sell Bean and Cheese,
Exactly. If we
bring on
can
the
sell
next
Bean and
one,
Cheese,
and
man,
bring
that's
on
it.
the next
That's
one.
exactly
Yep.
what I was going to say. So,
Yeah.
yes, being a comedic actress is obviously part of that. But to me, everything that I'm hearing, y'all are creating and marketing a product,
Right.
which
It's a
just
brand,
happens
yeah.
to be you all and the
Ours.
content you
Right,
create, right?
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it's still a product that
Mhm.
requires a marketing plan, a campaign, a certain way to approach it, right? Whether that's going to LA, everything, right? So
Yeah.
really, that's all you're doing is building a business. It just happens to be that the product you're producing is
I was
content.
on it. Yeah.
Right.
So
I think-
that's kind of something I struggled with as far as like my identity and like where are we going, what's
Mhm.
happening with the company. I was like, no, we are
Yeah.
we are still content producers, and
And I think a lot of that has to do with also just the shift of the industry, because the advertising, PR, and communications industry has changed as a whole. And so naturally, Heartfire Media has to change with that too. A lot of people don't give a damn about the press release anymore. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go fax this and send it to every news
Right.
station.
Yeah.
Wah, wah,
Extra,
wah.
extra
Like,
real
exactly,
change and-
exactly.
yeah.
And that's not where we want to spend our
told you you
energy.
get hot.
I know, dude.
Told you
My
get hot in
my
here.
upper lip is so sweaty right now.
Go Spurs, go.
It's crazy.
It's clean.
Oh, you're right.
I'll burn some calories.
But like that's, and I think that's the
Welcome
other
to the
reason of
sauna.
why we're in this mode of shift and what are Heartfire Media, because of that, because we don't, and there are still clients and there's still businesses and people that want that traditional media route, and Sam and I are like, no, we want to be disruptive. If we're going to do something, we want it to be creative, we want it to be out of the box, we want to push.
Traditional doesn't
what
hit
it is.
anymore.
It
No,
doesn't.
I mean, nobody's
It
listening. Nobody wants
doesn't.
that.
and it kills
But
me.
San Antonio loves traditional.
So you guys, something you said on NPR
We
that I thought was
don't.
funny about the San Antonio market is that you guys have to entice in a traditional way through like giveaways and stuff,
Oh,
Mhm.
just to get
Yeah.
people like that's
Yeah.
such a San Antonio thing, you know.
It is.
Showing up to the radio remotes for, hey, can I get the koozie? Like, come on, bro.
Mhm.
You drove across town for the 99.5 bumper stickers? Come on,
Hey,
dude.
don't
You
hate.
know?
I used to spend a
Hey,
lot
my
of
bad.
times.
Kiss for life.
Hey, that's how I got my
What's that
Shutterbahn
one
tickets.
quote?
At
Besitos?
Zara. Like, shout out to my Zara for doing the Shutterbahn tickets every summer. That's how me and my family went.
So I think you touched on this something too about the come up in both of y'all. I think it's important. We call it the huddle here, right?
Yeah.
The huddle,
Huddle.
all the huddle hustlers
We're
that
hustlers.
we huddle together and we try to help each other grow, right? And I think that's the other important thing to remember is that as you're elevating yourself, you're talking about the talent that's here in San
Oh my
Antonio.
gosh, yeah.
Y'all that are out there hustling, don't forget the people that are with you. And if you take a step or two higher in this ladder, grab
Take 'em with
somebody
you.
and bring them
That's
up
exactly
around
right.
with you. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's the key to all of this. If we want to thrive as a city or we want to thrive as an individual
We've gotta
or
bring each other
anywhere,
up.
you got to have a gang of supporters with you. And you don't get a gang of supporters by just leading. You bring them with you.
That's
Yeah.
Once
right.
the water or the tide comes in, all ships rise. Something like that. You know, bring everybody up with you.
We're gonna watch a video here.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Hey.
Oh, video time.
Oh my god.
We're going to pause the video, then watch it again.
So this is the Hood Rats F Fiesta.
This is our first one.
No, that's our second one.
No, this is our first one. This is our first one.
No, our first
Girl.
one was Hood Rat Snack.
No, our first Fiesta video.
Oh, okay. That's my daughter, by the way.
I like the leaving her and then coming back, grabbing and dragging her.
So like funny enough, so like none of this.
Hey, hit the pause when
Oh no, go ahead.
No. We want to stop it. We want to hear it. Go for it.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like funny enough, like with this, like we just showed up. We showed up.
Did
We
they ask
didn't
for
have
any
a
permits
sitter.
or anybody?
No,
No.
nothing.
What did you guys
Nah.
film with?
Gorilla.
We
I
just
love
had
it.
our crew had a camera, but it was super guerrilla. There was no script. It was like
Well, we
just,
always have an outline.
An
We
outline,
always
for
have
sure.
an
Bullet
outline.
points.
3-4 things we're
Yeah.
gonna do, but other than that, it's all
I,
out.
I love the how you had to get the discounted. Hey,
No tienes
two margaritas, no tiene
descuento.
discount.
No tienes descuento.
Margaritas.
Dude, that's so funny. So, hey, for those that are listening, check out the YouTube video. Right,
Yeah.
actually, the whole channel. Subscribe.
Yes,
A lot of funny content. I know you all are getting warm in here.
Yeah.
And we appreciate so much your all's visit and the patience. So, I kind of want to just go around the room real quick. If you guys have any last thoughts, anything that you want to make sure. I know we talked about quite a bit of stuff, but anything else you want to put out there, Chris?
Yeah, I'll start it off by saying that I don't know if you've ever thought of this, but if being in Chisme, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good work. Good
The
work. bro.
Chisme,
You're learning.
hey, shoot.
Mira, real
I'm gonna
quick.
be, I'm gonna be,
Mira.
I'm gonna
He's
speak in
honorary
Espanol in
Latino,
no
right?
time.
El güerito.
I don't know what just happened, but okay.
It seems good.
Yeah.
So, like, if y'all want to make a song for your people, like, I'll make it professionally done. As long as y'all do the video,
talking
I'll do the audio.
Well, we do
Straight
have a
up, you
couple
heard it here
songs
Chris has
online.
connections.
We
I got
do.
connections, so
Mira.
I'm just
see?
saying.
Hey, it's the network.
Just saying,
have it
it's the
here
network.
at the
We
Hustlers
all
Huddle.
huddle together. So I'm putting it out there.
Thank
That's my final
you.
thought.
I love it.
That was a
Okay,
great
I'm gonna
question.
take you up
I
on that.
appreciate that final thought. That
Yeah,
was
my
awesome.
question
Super
is-
insightful.
Do you want to make something awesome? No.
Nice. PJ?
No, that's what we're here for. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. Love your content. Keep doing it. Keep up the struggle. We envy you guys here at the Hustlers Huddle. You guys are where we want to be
Yeah,
and where we
absolutely.
aspire to be.
Energy.
So for those of us listening, please tune in to the Hustlers Huddle. Check out our episodes. Check us out on the website, and please check out Being in Chisme. Thank y'all so much. for
Thank
being here.
you.
And real quick before Daria jumps in,
Oh.
you told me it could be comments too. You said anybody have any final thoughts?
Whatever, bro. You're good.
God. Go ahead.
That
man.
was a
I'm
thought.
done.
Hey, just to piggyback on PJ said, really proud of you young ladies. I've known Samantha for many years now.
He knew me since the Valley Total Fitness days.
man.
Hey, y'all don't
Hey,
even know
oh,
about that life.
know.
Like, y'all don't even
Long
know.
time ago.
That's how you know it's
We're
good.
getting
Oh,
to
that
meet
is
you, Nina,
funny.
finally. Good luck, good fortune. Proud of you. For our Hustles Hudders listeners.
We'll try that again, bro.
Whoa.
One more time, bro.
Like a
I haven't even had a beer.
He had a mini stroke. It's
I haven't
good.
even had a beer yet. Holy crap. For our Hustlers Huddle listeners, Beat and Chisme, this will not be their first time on. I'll just
No, this will be their first time. It won't be their last time.
this will not be their first time on. Yeah.
There won't.
Wait, this is their first
Hey,
time.
for those of y'all that don't know,
They're gonna be on.
So Dario's
It's a
out.
long day.
We-
They're gonna be on again.
we had a secret show that we've already recorded, guys, but so this isn't their first time. But we're not going to release that. So
What do you got, Nina?
It's like our first time. Oh no, just like no, just I guess if anyone wants to follow me at this Nina Girl on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and
Absolutely.
just shout out to all of our supporters and all of our followers, and just keep in mind that this shit doesn't happen without a struggle, without a
Without the hustle.
struggle,
The hustle.
without that hustle and that
Without the
struggle.
hustle.
And so just no matter what you see on Facebook, just know that there are two girls behind this that are sometimes. But it is what it is. So if you have a dream, make it happen. Don't be a shelf baby,
that's awesome.
Don't be a
100%,
shelf
yeah,
baby.
that's right.
98% of all ideas stay on the shelf. So be part of the 2%.
Awesome. Yeah, I would second that. Thank you to everybody. Like we've had some fans who are from the get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like from the get, even from the Heartfire, like La
Yeah.
Prensa days, who like
Yeah.
saw
Oh, yeah.
he
Shout
was.
out.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
when she had a YouTube channel like years ago.
Let's
doing little
not
funny
talk
videos.
about that.
What's
had-
that?
So how do we find it?
And I had these like years, like there's people from the very beginning who, and thankfully we do have a close circle of volunteers who do
Mhm.
help us tremendously, like
Oh,
pull off a lot of the stuff that we do
yes.
pull off.
Shout out
So
to
we got to
them.
give a shout out to them, and then also, again, if you're thinking of doing what we're doing, like I said, just start and don't be afraid to
Mhm.
gosh, we talked about this before we went on the air, but we look at our first episode and we cringe.
Yeah.
We're like,
Oh, yeah.
like what was that? But
We did too.
it was just awful. But at the same time, we started, and
Mhm.
sometimes in life you're not going to know all of the answers, and I
That's very
struggle with
valid.
this personally myself. You don't know what's going to happen in 2 years, you don't know what's going to happen in 5 years, but the whole point is to just keep going. It's going to evolve and you'll find the sweet spot. It took me 5 years until we hit a sweet spot with Bean and Chisme. Otherwise I'd just be a little regular plain Jane marketing and PR firm. But because I kept going and we kept evolving, trying new things, whether or not people were going to watch, we weren't like, oh, we don't have viewers. We were like, we don't care. We're just doing it
Mhm.
because we want to try
And you
it.
called it what? Failing.
Failing
Forward.
forward. Yeah,
Yep.
don't be afraid to fail forward. And trust me, like she said, we cry at least once a month where I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't do
It's
this
good for the soul.
anymore.
It's good for the
Yeah.
soul.
And don't be afraid to cry. Like I think
Yeah.
the more real we can be with each other and
Yep.
like sharing our struggle, the more that we'll
Mhm.
be able to get through it together. So.
That's how I should go to bed every
Yeah.
night.
You know what? Let's just go to church. So like
I
in
cried.
the book
Hell yeah.
The Lord
Like,
says.
let's- yeah.
Jeremiah 29:11 says like
Yeah.
for I have that plans for you.
Yeah.
And so yeah. Anyway.
I want to give a shout out.
No, keep going. I'm good.
I want to give a shout out to old boy in the back here. What was his name again?
Adam.
Hey, Adam, thanks for joining us.
That's my boyfriend.
Adam,
Hey,
the
Adam.
boyfriend.
Super
the
champ out
great
here, man.
boyfriend.
Appreciate you.
This
sticking
cat's
around.
got a long sleeve on. He's just chilling.
Just
Like,
chilling.
It's
shout
hot
out
in
to
here,
him,
people.
man. Yeah.
And it's
I'm
not
like,
'cause
you
of me.
want to come with me? And he's like, yes. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah,
Hey,
it makes dating
thanks-
real
thanks for
interesting
hanging out,
when you're
man.
like, so
Seriously.
I'm like a hood rat on the side.
Hold on, what's that?
I wanted to come talk about the hospital incident.
The what?
Yes, and the Jorge hospital.
Oh,
Next time.
Next time.
Dario's getting those plugs in, like, hey, bro, let's talk about this. And
Yeah, hey, Dario was
It's
pulling him aside
sports.
before the Canelo fight. Oh, we didn't even talk about Canelo. Never mind.
That's what's up. So-
That's my baby daddy. Shout out.
Hey.
Shout out to my
Shout
boo.
out.
That's my
Chris, what do you got, man?
No, I just first and foremost, immense gratitude for both of you ladies being here. Very appreciative of not just your visit here, but what you all have done in the community and growing your
Thank
business and
you.
being that role model out there for them. Even if some people hate, because there's always going to be hating. That's how you know you're doing it right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Hey,
I
bring
think-
it so I can respond back with
Haters
funny
make you
memes.
greatest.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you know they're watching. That's exactly right. What did they say on the way to the top? Everybody's going to tell you how to do things they've never done themselves.
Oh,
So,
every
hey,
day, man.
to your point, both of you all talked about just getting up and going. I tell these guys, as Chris mentioned, you all are where we'd like to be, right? So, but even the fact that we just decided to do it and
Right.
continue, I'm so proud of the fact that these guys are continuing and we're continuing on with that because 90% of the battle is just showing up, right?
That's right. And you're
So,
committing to it. You're
But it gets a lot
committing.
easier when you provide alcohol.
Hey, everything gets a lot
Hey,
easier.
do what
when
you gotta do.
That's right.
Yeah, hell yeah. But no, I just couldn't be more thrilled to have y'all and echo the same sentiment that you all have already shared.
Thanks,
And-
Dario.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
shout out to
Dario.
Dario.
The connect.
Much love.
Connect.
Dario got the plug.
Hell yeah, guys. So check them out. Beanandcheeseman.net, not
That's right.
.com. Check them out on Insta
.net.
at Bean Chisme. Bean.
At
Bean
Bean
Chisme
Chisme.
on Facebook and Bean and Chisme, I believe. On
No, it's at Bean Chisme for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and at Bean and Chisme for YouTube.
and at the Sam Nahida
Yes.
And
if-
one more
for
time,
everything
Nina.
else.
At this Nina girl.
Awesome.
And the more important thing, if you have any trouble getting to any of that, go to thehustlershuddle.com.
Meet us.
We will have it all
Linked.
linked and easy to find.
Look, y'all got a website? Okay.
Hey,
All
hey,
right.
We're
Hey,
trying
we
to be
growing up.
somebody.
We trying to
Come on,
grow
I
up.
told you we're trying to be like y'all.
Hey, but on that note, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for
Thanks for
listening and
having
watching
us.
the Hustlers Huddle. And I am going outside because it's hot. I'm
Oh,
out.
yeah. Later, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Check out the view. See how we do.